Today at Deutsche Auto Parts, we're going to be going over the top 5 most reliable VW models. Okay, so before I go into the list of the top 5, I just want to preface this with saying all these models would be manual transmission models that I would recommend for the most reliability. Automatic transmissions are not going to always be the best choice. If you look at things and say only reliability matters, they are going to have more moving parts. They're much more complicated. So a manual transmission is always going to be the best choice for reliability. Let's get into our list. Number 5, the Mark IV Jetta or Golf TDI. So specifically, when I say Mark IV Jetta TDI, what I mean is the ALH engine. The ALH TDI is what ran from the early Mark IVs until around 2003 when they switched to the VW engine. The ALH is going to be probably one of the most loved TDI engines of probably all time, just because of reliability, simplicity relative to the newer ones, and you know, there are tons of people who have a gajillion miles on it. And just before we get into a lot of TDI guys are probably going to argue that it should be number 1. The reason why this is going to be at number 5 for me as opposed to higher on the list is because number 1, purchasing a Mark IV TDI they hold their value a lot better, and the people who own them tend to want all the money for them, which means you have to pay more to get them. They also cost more to maintain relative to their gas counterparts, so they're always going to be a little bit more out of reach. If you look at it from just a financial perspective, doesn't mean they're any less reliable than the other ones up on the list ahead of them. Number 4, the Mark V Jetta 2.5. So the Mark V Jetta would also include the Rabbit as well, because they're the same platform and they share the same engine. They would fit into this category. The 2.5 engine is a super solid engine, and they didn't have a ton of issues. A few minor issues that they had were PCV valve covers, some secondary area issues, but in the grand scheme of things, pretty minor overall, and super easy to fix, and making them a fairly reliable car to own and fairly cost effective relative to a lot of other VW models you might find. Number 3, the Mark IV Jetta 2-liter. So the Mark IV Jetta 2-liter had a couple different iterations, but all of them were very similar with some minor differences. You know, they all had a few little issues here and there, but they were super easy to work on, not crazy expensive parts, and overall could run for a long time. Not to mention a lot of people, they were timing belt engines, so a lot of people who fail to maintain their cars properly. Some of the 2-liters you can get away with the timing belt jumping and not bending all the valves. So, you know, obviously that also adds another layer to, if something happens, it doesn't necessarily mean catastrophic damage. And that's what lands them at number 3 on our list. Number 2, the Mark VI Jetta 2-liter. So the Mark VI Jetta 2-liter was actually a El Strippo bargain basement model. A lot of them had a lot of things removed from them, which made them a super affordable option. This was actually a really good choice for a lot of people who were looking for something that was a quality car that was going to be reliable, especially long term, because they shared a lot of similarities with the Mark IV and Mark III 2-liter. Obviously, a lot of the mechanical parts of the engine are kind of tried and true, and a lot of the kinks have been worked out of that model. This car being super new, affordable, and reliable makes this the number 2 on our list. Number 1, the Mark III Jetta 2-liter. So the Mark III Jetta, along with the Golf, all had the 2-liter ABA engine in it, ran from 94 till 99.5 when they split to the Mark IV. This is without a doubt the most reliable platform for VW and Audi. Now, something to keep in mind, a lot of people are going to jump in and maybe say that my Mark III was a disaster or whatever. Keep in mind, these cars, some of them are getting super old and they were poorly maintained, or they've been hacked to pieces over the years, which makes them not necessarily the most reliable anymore based on what's happened to them, especially if you live in a rust belt and everything's kind of rusting apart on a 20-year-old car. But aside from that, the Mark III Jetta had the 2-liter ABA engine, which is without a doubt the most solid VW Audi engine in. A lot of people swap them into other cars like Mark 1s and Mark 2s because of the reliability and ease of swapping them in. And, you know, while they're not crazy high power, when people swap them into those cars relative to the weight of the car, obviously it makes a solid swap platform. So the awesome reliability and the ease of working on an ABA engine is actually what makes the Mark III Jetta 2.0 number 1 on this list. Okay, so people who requested this video actually did so on one of our top 5 videos talking about cars that were expensive to maintain. So this one was kind of in a response to that, and I wanted to preface this a little bit. While a lot of the cars on this list aren't super fun or exciting, they're definitely not performance models by any means. Usually you get 3 things when it comes to anything with cars: is you either get cheap, fun, or reliable, and you only get to pick 2. So if this list is going to be something of interest to you, you're going for something that is relatively inexpensive to own and reliable to operate. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like it.